Our political editor Andrew Clennell with me now. Andrew, the numbers heading where, as I said to Ed, where the government would like them right now, and as the RBA intends them to off the back of the blunt instrument, those 13 rate rises that we've seen, and another rate meeting next week. You'd think that that would be welcomed by the RBA, and we wouldn't expect another hike, possibly cuts sometime this year.
They'll be over the moon, the government, and I think homeowners, mortgage holders should be cautiously optimistic out of this, Kieran. I agree with you. I do not think there will be a rate hike next week. And as long as there isn't some big driver of inflation in the economy from here, I do not think there will be another rate hike this year. I'll go as far as to get the crystal ball out on that, Kieran. So 4.1%, you're not far off 3, are you? And that's where they want it. And, if you look at what's gone up over that quarter, well, it's things like holiday travel and accommodation. For some reason, tobacco has as well. You'd expect that domestic holiday travel and accommodation to go up over the Christmas period. Housing, again, has gone up again. That's an issue for the government. And they're being pretty cautious with this cost of living relief. It might even cost them Dunkley. They're waiting until July and the May budget to implement that, to have that inflationary pressure on the economy. Inflation will be well and truly cooling by mid-year if things go according to plan for Jim Chalmers.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty good in terms of the electoral cycle for Labor, to be honest with you, Kieran. They've got a difficulty over this broken promise with stage 3 tax cuts, and a lot of people not happy about that, and others thinking we don't get enough. I guess the rubber will hit the road with the May budget, and if they provide more. But we've been told by politicians down there as long as a year ago, you and I, that the hope was inflation would temper off before the next election. And they've got tax cuts on top of that, other relief on top of that. Suddenly they start to look like in a stronger electoral position than they were a month ago, the government.
Yeah, and some of the suggestions that the tax cuts might be inflationary look a bit premature. They don't come in till July 1, and you've got this situation where already it's cooling pretty significantly, Andrew, off the back of those many rate rises.
And the retail figures, out yesterday showed it was down 2% in December. Unheard of, really, when it's a Christmas season. So people have stopped spending. They're hurting over these rate hikes. They're hurting over the cost of living. Unemployment hasn't yet edged up that much. Now it's a bit of a balancing act, and the government, on the advice of Treasury, not wanting to pump any cost of living relief into the economy now, because that could only risk this concept of inflation going down. Look, lots of things can play into this. You have a lot of migration. Housing will go up. That puts pressure on inflation. Petrol prices globally go up. That's happened last week. That puts pressure on inflation again. I'm not saying it's definitely over. It just looks like we have hope that it's over, this inflation dragon in Australia, because who knows what factors could push into the economy in the next couple of months. But overall, voters should be hopeful, cautiously optimistic. The worst of inflation in Australia is over. That 7.8% peak, it's now down to 4.1 annually.